Good morning. Doesn't this look like a beautifully constructed scene? Like when I picture we're all in like spaceships or on the moon and we have all this tech to like have like scenery of like great things in the world, like the oceans and the mountains and the forests. Like, doesn't it kind of look like it's just like a forest scene, like on a screen? Nature's perfect, right? I'm kind of planning on doing a little like spliced video. I'm just on my way to meet my dad, and I haven't seen my dad in a couple of months. And to be perfectly honest, like we haven't had much of a relationship in like many years. I went to see a shaman yesterday. Story for another day. But one of the things she said to me when we came out of journeying together was, she looked me straight in my big blue eyes and she said, "What is it that you've never had the chance to tell your dad? Or what is it that you want to tell your dad?" And instantly, like, full body reaction. Full body reaction. And I then proceeded to tell her the quick version, which was, especially the last couple of months, I've been really thinking about my relationship with my father. And I'm pretty sure like I have in one of these videos in the past 18 days, at least 2 videos talking about father wounds. Like, I'm pretty sure that that's happened. So it's been like in my world. And so we just haven't been talking. And a while back I texted him out of the blue and I was just like, "Hey, like, I'm sorry we're not talking, but like I love you." And he was like, "Hey, like, honey, like, it's all good, like I'm proud of you, I love you too." And we've always had this understanding of one another. There's like this really like there's a depth to the relationship that's just there, right? He's a Cancer sun. I don't know his full chart. I'm gonna dive into that a little bit if I can today. But he's a Cancer, and I think he's got a lot of water energy, and I have a lot of water energy. So I think that there's a lot of depth and emotionality in our relationship, but there's also a lot of, we like to stick our heads in the sand and not come out of our comfort zones. I think that's something that we share, and I think that that's part of the reason why our relationship has stagnated. So yeah, so last week I reached out to him and was like, "Hey, like, do you want to go, like, can I take you to lunch?" And he said yes. And so it was so wild coming out of journeying with the shaman, and she was like, "What are you gonna, like, what do you want, what have you always wanted to say to your dad?" I was like, "Oh God." Oh God, I don't know. And she just goes, leave it open, and we like moved on, right? And I can't say like I'm nervous, but it's just, the magic of this life is connecting the dots and connecting the pieces and like finding the, the word is like the serendipitousness, the serendipity, the synchronicity. And I just think it's just alignment, and I'm still floored every time it happens. I'm still floored because it just hits you in the face time and time again about how we are meant to be here and how we are just having these journeys, and they are all interconnected. All of it. There's this element of just perfect timing, and you have to be aligned with that, because you have to be in the paradigm in which you are in order to be aligned with that paradigm. And so here we are. So I'm gonna drive to lunch, and I'm gonna reconnect connect later and kind of splice these videos together and see what happens. So stay tuned. Good afternoon. Welcome to part 2. Yeah. Okay. Are you the type of person that when someone has something in their teeth, do you tell them, or do you let them just go without telling them with something in their teeth? 2 types of people. People who tell and people who keep it to themselves, and then they think about how when that person is going to look in the mirror and realize that they have food in their teeth, they're going to think about all the people that saw them and talked to them and didn't tell them that they had food in their teeth. And then if you're the person that didn't tell the person who had food in their teeth that they had food in their teeth, you're going to know that they're thinking about you and that you didn't tell them. I just got back from lunch. Put Jacob down for a nap, lit an incense, and realized that my room's a little messy. But I didn't feel like cleaning it in this moment, so here we are. I had a really nice time. We left off saying that, I was meeting my dad for lunch and our relationship had been a little bit weird, but like we have like a deep emotionality, and the shaman was like, girl, you got some stuff to say. And I told him we often get into some really deep conversations, and spirituality and religion is one that typically comes up for us. And it's really interesting having these conversations with him because he grew up with non-practicing Catholic parents. My grandma always wore a cross necklace. My shaman, she said she was talking about she picked up on the fact that there was some like Catholic or Christian religion in my upbringing, and I said to her, like my parents were both not religious. Like I didn't grow up in a religious household, but then I remembered this necklace that my grandma had and she always wore, and I realized that there was a story that my dad used to say, and he said that my grandma always wanted me to be baptized, and it was like a big fight because my parents they didn't want to baptize me, but she wanted me to be baptized because even though she wasn't practicing, and this was confirmed by my dad today, even though they weren't practicing, her belief was that in order to get into heaven, you get baptized. And so she fought for that for me, but ultimately my parents decided not to. So she actually came through as a guide, as someone in my, I wanted to say energetic field, but I think the right thing is, or like somebody in the spirit realm that's watching over me. And that was really beautiful to hear, and interesting that the religion thing came up because my dad, him and I for many years now, we've had so many conversations about religion, and because he grew up thinking like, God is the Father, and he just doesn't believe in, he sees religion through a certain lens, and he classifies himself as an atheist. And he said something today that echoed something that I used to say when I was younger, and that was really fascinating for me. He said, I don't believe in God, but like I kind of hope that there's a God, I really would like for that to happen. And I used to say as a kid, and I used to say, I don't believe in God, but I hope that there is. And that was a true statement, and probably something that I heard from him because, he also mentioned like he's like, if you go to church, and I'm thinking to myself, when was the last time that you stepped foot in a church, really? But I don't think he's wrong. But, you know, he's like, most of these people are older. And I was in a church recently, and I would say that there was a big range of, like, there was actually a lot of really young families as well. So I don't believe that it is all older people. Maybe more Catholicism or more like traditional churches, but I think it's a lot more diverse than just older people. But he has a theory, a thought that, you know, when you're reaching the end of your human life, believing in God will help you with that transition. If you know and understand that, you know, your soul is taken care of, then it's going to be a more peaceful transition. And he said something along the lines of, you know, as opposed to someone like me who just believes that, poof, that's it. And it's not my job to push. It's not my job, and I said this to him, like, I am filled with faith and belief in the God of my understanding. But he has not found the God of his understanding. And I do hope one day, I do pray that he finds that peace within himself, and that peace that his soul is going to be protected and loved through his transition from this world. But it's interesting that you have to just be on the sidelines. You know, I kind of feel like I'm sixth string, and it's like I'm just like waiting for my time to get called in. It's like, put me in, coach. Like, you know, I got some things to say. I got some wisdom to spew. Like, I'm gonna score some 3-pointers in the faith games. But people can't hear if they're not ready to hear. But the cool thing about him is that he's very open to listening, and I appreciate that. I got to talk a little bit about my belief systems, and he was open. He was just, sure, whatever. He's like, like, not his beliefs, but he doesn't care. He's like, whatever, you believe what you want to believe. There's like the savior complex of like you wanting to save the people around you, and he is a good reminder of like, it's not your job to save other people, and they're just living their life. And you know, he said he's like, I don't kill people. I'm a good person. It's like, I'm a good person, and I'm glad that he feels like that. I'm glad that he feels like a good person. And I, you know, there's the part of me that thinks that he's holding himself to a standard, and like there's the piece that, because he was brought up thinking like God is the father, there's like that masculine energy that pushes down. You know, he's like, well, I'm a good kid, I'm a good this, right? And it doesn't feel like it's like an inherent goodness. It feels like it's well, on the surface, like, I have a job, I have a this, I am a good person, I'm nice to people, right? So it's like the actions that he takes, and that's very, in my opinion, aligned with some of the standard theological opinions, if you will. And I'm over here just being like, dude, like, you are inherently a good person, you know? Find love for yourself, find love for those around you, and think about it like, I mean, there's other ways to think about it. you know, my way of thinking about it may not be for him or for anyone else, but I have my own viewpoints, and who's to say that my viewpoints are in any way accurate or representative of the rest of the world. Something that Jaidev, I always call him Jaidev says, Life Force Academy, beautiful Kundalini yoga teacher. You know, I think 918, the video 918 in the timeline, we talk. Oh, I still haven't posted it yet, but the Kundalini yoga practice. So I'm gonna post that. I had some difficulty editing it yesterday, and I just was like, we'll save it for another day. But one of the things that we practiced was the sat. So there's satanama, but satnam as well, and sat means absolute truth. That inherent absolute truth. It's not bounded by religion, it's not bounded by science. Like you can't prove it. And Dad had this point, he's like, faith is the absolute belief in something that you cannot prove, you cannot see. And that's truth, that's sat. 11:11. I wonder if he's gonna watch this video. I wonder if he's going to watch any of my videos. There's this one Christmas, and it was during a time where Josh and I, we didn't have a ton of money, and we're not super into gift giving. Like it's just for like the institution of giving gifts because it's like Christmas and people are spending money on you. Like it's such a weird thing for us. And so during the time where we were giving like handmade gifts, and we were trying to give like purposeful gifts to our family, I decided to, it was like the first year that it was the year that I got my yoga teacher certification. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I think it would be so great if I can, you know, give this to my parents and design them a yoga class that they can do, because a lot of them, they like none of them, they don't really have movement in their life, and I wanted them to have something made by me that they could utilize. And so I recorded this video. It was like yoga in a chair. It was just sitting down. It was like literally 10 minutes. And I was like, Merry Christmas. Like I just wanted to share my love of yoga with all of you. Like I hope you enjoy this time. And no one did it. I think they watched it. And they're like, oh, good job, you know. And I'm like, no, like this was a video for you to practice. But nobody did it. There wasn't like an interest in it. And that was kind of like a little cut, you know. It was like I made this for you. And I think we spoke about in a previous video about how like when you give a gift as a present, then you have to cut the tie. How it's received is up to them. You set the intention, and if it's not received in the way that you expected, then that's okay. It's not meant to be received. It wasn't received in the way that I expected it to be received, and that's okay. I believe that my words will be found by the people that are meant to hear them, and sometimes things just don't resonate with some people, and that's okay. I've told most of my family that I'm doing this now, recording videos and putting it out there and making a podcast, and I'm interested to see if they come across this, if this aligns with them and if they are able to hear these words. I hope it makes them think. I hope it makes you all think. I hope that it makes you think about your own life and what you want to do with your time and your energy. I want you all to feel like your lives matter and there's a purpose and there's a place for you, and we all are going through this life together at this time. And even if you find this video 5 years down the road, like that means that, where I was 5 years ago, you are experiencing some sort of cycle or something that drew you into the energy of that time. And then my words are now able to reach you through time and space. How beautiful is that? It's absolutely wonderful. What questions do you have for me? What topics interest you? Where are you in your journey? What do you need help with? What do you need support with? What brings you gratitude? What brings you into that sense of faith? What is your sat? What is your absolute truth? What have you discovered to be your absolute truth? Just in this moment. All your life experience, it led you here. What is your sat? What is your absolute truth? If you're willing to share, we're willing to listen. As always, have a beautiful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.